So I actually used to be a protective order prosecutor, and there are two kinds of protective orders that we would see most used, and they're still what we see today. The first is the temporary protective order, and this protective order is usually about 20 days in length, and it starts almost immediately upon the individual's arrest. And so the idea here is that the magistrate judge, when you get arrested and you go to the jail, if the judge is going to release you back into society because things at that point are probably pretty hot and argumentative, they're going to put a condition on your release through a protective order that you can't go anywhere near the person that you were arguing or fighting with. All right. The second type of protective order we see is a full or final protective order. Now, these are protective orders that last longer periods of time. They can actually last indefinitely. I remember I represented a woman who her husband had really tried to injure her, and we got a lifelong protective order. And what that meant was that her ex-husband could now never, for the rest of their lives, go within 100 feet of her, contact her friends or her family. So again, broadly speaking, those are the two most common kind of protective orders we see. Is the temporary one right after usually a domestic violence arrest, and then the full 2-year or permanent protective order that will protect somebody for their entire future. So a lot of times the temporary protective orders are kind of put in place without any sort of hearing. They're called ex parte temporary protective orders, meaning the judge just kind of does it on their own. Unfortunately, you don't really have a lot of representation at those hearings. Now, that being said, if you get served with an application for a full protective order, this means up to 2 years or even longer, you're usually going to want to hire an attorney and fight that protective order. Even if you think, well, look, I'm never going to deal with this person again, I'm never going to see them again. These protective orders have a way of turning into bigger issues. If you see them at HEB, if you run into them at the gas station, all of a sudden you can be in violation of this protective order and you can be subject to criminal prosecution. So sort of interestingly, protective orders are civil in nature, but a violation of a protective order will lead to criminal charges. The first time it's a misdemeanor, and then if you have repeated violations of a protective order, it can be enhanced into a felony. The prosecutors take these seriously because they feel like you're really harassing or stalking somebody, and they will charge you with violation of protective order along with a host of other criminal charges. So out of an abundance of caution, a lot of time judges are very broad with their protective orders. So what we'll see is situations where somebody has a protective order put on them, but they're still married, they're still living together. So we'll actually have to tell clients, look, in order to not violate your protective order, you're gonna need to either stay with a friend or at a hotel until we can get the protective order modified to allow you back in the house or around the person who had the protective order placed on them. This can often cause a lot of problems in marriages and with work and with finance. So even though protective orders are technically civil, they often lead to criminal charges. If you find yourself with an accusation of a violation of a protective order, give us a call. We'll kind of walk you through the steps needed to take care of it.